observe, imitate, and modify. That is the soul of every creation here at Crafted Nest. Imagine objects once forgotten, like tires, teacups, or even a rusty watering can, transformed into blooming displays, glowing lanterns, and whimsical corners for your garden. Every piece tells a story of renewal, of creativity, and of beauty found in the simplest things. In this journey, we do explore 24 inspiring garden decor ideas that you can recreate at home. Projects that aren't just beautiful to look at, but also easy and practical, perfect for turning overlooked items into treasures. And if you love stories of transformation as much as we do, don't forget to subscribe to Crafted Nest. Each week, we bring you fresh inspiration to help your garden bloom with creativity. Your support means the world. It helps this little nest of ideas grow, and ensures you never miss the next spark of inspiration waiting to be reborn. Observe, imitate, and modify. This is how the simplest objects become extraordinary creations. Imagine an old tire, once discarded and forgotten, swinging gently in the afternoon breeze, now transformed into a living burst of color. Hung from the strong branch of a backyard tree, it carries not just its rubbery weight but an entire miniature garden that dances with life. The tire's exterior, once dull and black, is reborn with bright, playful hues, red, yellow, blue, and green, each segment painted carefully like a child's laughter frozen in time. Inside its hollow ring, a round planter nestles securely, overflowing with cheerful blooms. Petunias spill in pink and purple waves, marigold shine like tiny suns, and soft white daisies lean outward as if waving to anyone who passes by. Beneath it, the grass feels greener, the air lighter, the space more alive. What makes this idea so enchanting is its simplicity. Anyone can do it. Find a tire, clean it thoroughly, paint it with joy, and give it a second life. Add soil, choose flowers that bring you happiness, and let them cascade outward as the tire hangs like a frame of nature's painting. For families, this becomes more than decor. It turns into a project where children learn that beauty doesn't require money, only creativity and care. Practical too, this planter saves ground space, making it perfect for small yards or urban gardens. It brings height, dimension, and playfulness into your green sanctuary. And when the sun sets, you may even wave fairy lights through the rope, letting the tire glow softly like a floating lantern of blooms. In the end, it's not just a tire planter. It's a reminder that every overlooked object has a hidden story waiting to be written by your hands in your garden. Observe, imitate, and modify. Sometimes the most ordinary object becomes the quiet heart of beauty. A simple mason jar, once used to store jam or pickles, now waits patiently on a garden table, holding not just a candle but a memory. As dusk settles, the jars awaken, their soft glow shimmering against the deepening blue of the evening sky. Each jar is tied gently at the neck with a white ribbon, a bow that feels like a small gift to the night. Inside, a bed of pastel sun threadless a candle. When lit, the flame flickers tenderly, sending whispers of light across the leaves, the stones, the faces of those gathered nearby. It is not grand, but it is intimate, the kind of light that invites conversation, laughter, and quiet reflection. The magic of this project lies in its ease. A jar, some sun or salt, a ribbon, and a candle, that is all. Yet the effect it creates rivals any expensive lantern. Families can gather to make them together, children choosing the Sunday's color, parents tying ribbons, everyone waiting eagerly for the evening to arrive so they can watch their creation glow. Placed along a garden path, these lanterns guide footsteps like stars fallen to the ground. Set upon a dinner table outdoors, they transform a simple meal into a celebration. Hung from tree branches, they sway like captured fireflies, reminding us of childhood nicks chasing sparks of light in the dark. What's most inspiring is that no two jars need to be the same. Each can carry its own character, its own shadow of sand, its own ribbon, its own story. Together, they form a chorus of soft light that hums warm into the night, teaching us that beauty is often born from the humblest of things. Observe, imitate, and modify. So many times what we think is worn out is simply waiting for a new role. Picture those old jeans tucked away in a drawer, too frail to wear yet too full of memories to throw away. Now, imagine them standing proudly in your garden, stitched with life once again, not by thread but by rods and flowers. The denim fabric, faded by time and sun, becomes a rustic vessel for soil and blooms. Waistbands turn into rims, pockets into tiny threadless for succulents, and pant legs become towers for cascading flowers. Marigolds burst like golden suns, petunias spill in rivers of purple, and little sprigs of herbs peek curiously from the side pockets. What once chariot footsteps and journeys now carries fragrance and color. The beauty of this project is not only in its playfulness but also in its sustainability. Instead of discarding old clothes, you give them a chance to stand in the open air, holding life instead of dust. It makes the garden smile. And often, visitors too. Children are especially delighted to see jeans walking in the grass, sprouting flowers instead of legs. Creating denim planters is simple. Line the jeans with a plastic bag or fabric to hold soil, then fill them with your choice of plants. You can set them on steps, lean them against a fence, or even hang them like art. Over time, as the denim fades further, it only adds charm, making the planter feel like a story that continues to unfold. More than the chore, this is a gentle reminder. Even the things we outgrow can bloom again, just in a different way. In your garden, these jeans loud with flowers, whispering that nothing is ever truly wasted when given love and imagination. Observe, imitate, and modify. So many times beauty is not only seen but also heard. Imagine walking through your garden when the wind stirs gently, and instead of silence, a melody greets you. It is not the sound of instruments, but of forgotten cutlery, dancing once more with purpose. From a wet-haired patch of driftwood, a handful of spoons and forks dangle, their polished silver dulled by years of service yet glowing anew in the sunlight. Bedwent hem, beads shimmer, reds, blues, and greens, touching the rise and scattering tiny rainbows across the leaves. Each breeze turns the ensemble into music, soft notes chiming against one another, weaving a tune that belongs only to your garden. There is a quiet poetry in this creation. Once used daily at the table, these utensils now sing outside, offering not meals but memories. Each spoon has its own pattern, each for its own mark, and when they holiday, they carry the erhayetehaem of their histories. Children giggle at the unexpected music, while adults pause, remembering that harmony often comes from the simplest of things. Making one is as easy as collecting what you already have. A patch of driftwood, some wire or twine, and old cutlery. Drill small holes, tie securely, and let gravity do the rest. The result is a wind chime that costs nothing but delivers everything: sound, light, and charm. And perhaps the most wonderful part is its unpredictability. No two breezes sound alike. Some days it whispers, some days it sings loudly, but always it reminds us that even the overlooked can create a beauty when given a chance to move freely in the wind. Observe, imitate, and modify. So many strength hides beneath rust. Picture the heavy car rims that once chariot wheels across countless miles. Now, stuck together and reborn with metallic paint, they rest in your garden not as relics, but as a fire pit, glowing with warmth and light. At dusk, when the sky melts into soft lavender and gold, the fire pit comes alive. Flames flicker above their lava rocks, their warmth reaching outward, inviting family and friends to gather. Around it, stalls cut from tree trunks circulate the fire like silent guardians. Cushions, patterned with blossoms, soften the rustic wood, and lock the recess as easily as sparks drifting into the night sky. What's remarkable about this idea is its union of durability and beauty. Car rims, built to endure, become the bones of a centerpiece, painted in shades of copper and lavender. They no longer look like scrap metal but instead shine as modern art in the garden. The flames reflect on the curved steel, shimmering as though the rims themselves are alive. This project also speaks of sustainability. What could have been waste finds a second life, proving that design need not come from new materials, but from imagination. With simple tools and a touch of paint, Anyone can create a fire pit that transforms an ordinary yard into a gathering place filled with stories. The fire pit is more than heat, it is connection. It invites quiet evenings of reflection, children roasting marshmallows, or long conversations beneath the stars. And when the fire burns low, it leaves behind not ashes alone, but a memory that even the most rugged, overlooked objects can become at the heart of comfort and community. Observe, imitate, and modify. So metimes comfort grows not from what we buy, but from what we build. Imagine a quiet afternoon in the garden where the sun filters softly through the leaves, and in the corner rests a lounge, not crafted by carpenters, but by your own hands from simple wooden chrates. The chrates, oncherog and humble, are stacked with care into an L shape, painted white to brighten the wood and reflect the sunlight. Over them, floral cushions spill in lavender, pink, and soft green, as if the flowers themselves decided to restere. Pillows in pastel shades pile up generously, inviting Anyone to sink in and linger. Beside the sofa, a vertical sta of chrates forms shelves holding books, chandeliers, and tiny pots of lavender, giving the space both charm and function. This lounge feels alive. It doesn't try to impress with polish. Instead, it whispers of simplicity, warmth, and handmade love. Every mark of the wood, every brush of paint, every cushion carefully chosen tells the story of a space created not from money, but from imagination and effort. The beauty of this project lies in its accessibility. With just a few chrates, a chwat of paint, and cushions, Anyone can transform a dull corner into a welcoming retreat. Families can build it together, turning the act of creation into a memory itself. Friends can gather on it in the evening, their laughter drifting into the night air, while the sofa holds steady, both in strength and in spirit. More than furniture, it becomes a sanctuary, a place where stories are shared, where morning tea tastes better, where sunsets linger longer. It shows us that so metimes, the greatest luxury is not in the materials themselves, but in the way we shape them into comfort, beauty, and belonging. Observe, imitate, and modify. So metimes motion does not end when the journey is over. Bicycle wheels, once racing through streets and fields, can turn again, not on the ground, but in the air, carrying not speed but blossoms. Imagine an old rim, its pockets shining faintly after years of use, now painted in soft pastel shades, mint green, pale yellow, gentle pink. Hung from a sturdy tree branch, it no longer rolls forward but suspends quietly, holding pots of flowers that spill over with life. Petunias lean outward in purple sprays, daisies knot with cheerful white faces, and tiny clusters of lavender dangle like whispers in the wind. The beauty of this creation is in its balance. Industrial metal softened by fragile blooms, strength and delicacy coexisting. As the breeze steers, the wheels sway lightly, their flowers turning as though chasing the sun. At certain angles, the spokes frame the blossoms like artwork, making the whole not just a planter but a moving gallery of living color. Making one is simpler than it seems. With a bit of paint, hooks, and rope, an unused wheel transforms into a stage for flowers. You can hang a single wheel for a subtle charm, or many together to create a curtain of blossoms, catching light and shadow with every sway. This project doesn't just decorate, it enchants. It shows how even what seems worn and ordinary can carry beauty into new spaces. And perhaps, as you sit beneath the wheels and hear them crack softly in the wind, you do realize that journeys never truly end, they just change form. In your garden, the wheels turn once more, not on roads, but in the timeless circle of nature's bloom. Observe, imitate, and modify. So many steps meant for climbing can lift beauty in new ways. Picture an old ladder, once carrying hands and feet toward higher shelves or rooftops, now standing still, its rungs straddling blossoms instead of boots. The wood, painted in a soft distressed white, leans gently against a stone wall. Each step holds a vessel of life. Galvanized bouquets overflowing with pink roses, pastel pots bursting with purple blossoms, jars of herbs spilling their fragrance into the air. From top to bottom, the ladder transforms into a gentle cascade of color, a living staircase of blooms. As twilight arrives, strings of fairy lights drop lazily along the sides, casting a golden shimmer that softens the edges of wood and petals. The ladder no longer works as a tool for repairs. It has become an artwork, a vertical garden that saves space while creating magic in forgotten corners. The joy of this idea lies in its practicality. Anyone can do it. You only need an old ladder, a chot of paint if desired, and pots or bouquets to rest on the rungs. It is perfect for small gardens, balconies, or patios where ground space is scarce but dreams still reach upward. Each level becomes an opportunity to experiment. Herbs on one room, trailing flowers on another, perhaps even a small lantern glowing in between. This display also tells a story of transformation. It whispers that nothing is ever too old or too worn to shine again. With a touch of care, even a ladder, marked with years of labor, can retire into beauty, carrying flowers instead of weight, holding joy instead of burden, and turning an ordinary corner into a sanctuary of bloom and light. Observe, imitate, and modify. Sometimes the smallest objects carry the greatest grace. Picture a porcelain teacup, delicate and treasured, its floral patterns fading with time. It may no longer serve tea, yet in the garden, it finds a new purpose, to cradle life. Inside the cup, nestled gently in soil, a succulent blooms. Its rosette shape mirrors the flowers painted on the porcelain, blurring the line between art and nature. When placed together, cups, mismatched in color, shape, and design, they create a gallery of miniature gardens, each one whispering its own charm. What makes this idea so captivating is its intimacy. Unlike large planters that command attention, teacup holders invite you to come closer, to lean in, to notice the details. The curve of the ceramic, the tiny veins of the succulent's leaves, the way sunlight slips across the glossy glaze. They turn an ordinary window, table, or garden shelf into a storybook scene. Creating them is effortless yet rewarding. Drill a small drainage hole at the bottom of each cup, add a layer of soil, and choose succulents that thrive in small patches. Place them in groups to form a charming collection, or scatter them individually as surprise touches throughout your garden. Over time, these teacup gardens grow richer, not just in greenery but in sentiment. Each cup may remind you of a morning tea with family, a gift long ago received, or simply the joy of finding beauty in what might have been discarded. In the quiet glow of afternoon, when light filters across porcelain and petals alike, you realize that these little planters do more than hold succulents. They hold stories, memories, and a gentle reminder that even the smallest vessels can bloom with life. Observe, imitate, and modify. Sometimes what is shattered can become the foundation of beauty. Imagine the broken fragments of a plate, once useful, now lying forgotten in a box. Their jagged edges may seem useless, yet when arranged with patience, they bloom into a mosaic that transforms an ordinary patio into a work of art. On the garden floor, pieces of ceramic, pottery, and glass meet like old friends. Blues mingle with yellows, soft grains press against deep reds, and together they weave patterns, flowers, spirals, even stars, that glow under the sun. Each fragment, though incomplete alone, finds its place within the whole, proving that beauty is not about perfection but harmony. Walking across such a mosaic feels like stepping on a story. Every tile has a past, a plate that once chariot meals, a vase that once held roses, a dish that once sat on a family table. Now, those memories live beneath your feet, holding strong as you see petty in the garden, as children chase one another, as evening settle quietly with friends gathered around. The making of a mosaic is a lesson in patience. It asks you to collect, to sort, to imagine patterns from pieces that don't seem to fit. Slowly, with mortar and thyme. The image emerges. It is not only a patio but also a metaphor, that even what is broken can be whole again, perhaps even more beautiful than before. At dusk, when golden light softens the colors, the mosaic seems to glow as though each shard remembers its story and shares it quietly with the garden. What was once discarded now becomes a masterpiece underfoot, reminding us that from brokenness, beauty is born. Observe, imitate, and modify. So metimes the simplest touch can transform the ordinary into something tender. A plain clay pot, humble and rogue, becomes elegant with just a wrap of fabric, like a familiar friend dressed anew for a celebration. In the garden, these fabric wrapped pots sit together like a family of personalities. One wears soft pastel linen tied with a ribbon, another sports a playful floral print, while yet another glows in cheerful polka dots. Inside, flowers bloom happily, their colors made by the fabric's gentle embrace. Lavender leans outward in lilac sprays, daisies smile in yellow bursts, and herbs nestle quietly, releasing scents each time the breeze brushes past. The charm lies in its ease. There is no need for new pots, just gather old ones, cut a patch of fabric, and wrap it snugly around the surface. Secure it with ribbon or twine. Let the top gather loosely, and suddenly the pot looks handcrafted with love. Each becomes unique, reflecting the personality of its maker, soft and romantic, bright and playful, or rustic and natural. Placed together, they create a cozy corner that feels almost like an indoor living room brought outdoors. A wooden table draped in sunlight, the pots cluster together, glowing with colors and textures. Such simple elements, yet the atmosphere becomes warm and inviting. This idea is also wonderfully practical. Fabrics can be changed with the seasons, light florals for spring, earthy tones for autumn, festive prints for holidays. It's not just the chore, it's a living wardrobe for your garden, a playful way to keep it fresh and full of surprise. And as evening falls, when the day slows and the garden quiets, these fabric wrapped pots stand softly glowing, whispering the truth that beauty often rests in the gentlest of touches. Observe, imitate, and modify. So metimes art is not painted but planted. Imagine a wall on plain and bare, now dressed in frames collected from forgotten corners, thrift shops, attics, or flea markets. Each frame, chipped or ornate, no longer holds photographs or portraits, but living plants that spill outward, blurring the boundary between craft and nature. One frame may traddle succulents arranged like a miniature painting, their rosettes forming patterns as delicate as brushstrokes. Another makes surround a small pot of trailing ivy, leaves cascading past the edges like hair is chopping a portrait. Painted in antique whites, rose golds, or soft pastels, the frames glow against the wall, catching sunlight that changes their mood throughout the day. What makes this idea enchanting is the way it redefines beauty. Instead of art that hangs lifeless, the gallery grows. Each week, leaves shift, flowers bloom, and colors deepen, making the wall a canvas that never stops evolving. Visitors pause to admire not just the cleverness, but the life within it, a reminder that art need not be static. The process is wonderfully flexible. Any frame, no matter how worn, can be reborn. Attach a planter or small container behind it, secure the plants, and hang it as you would any picture. The more varied the frames, the more dynamic the gallery. Some round, some square, some intricate, some simple. Together they tell a story of collected history and renewed purpose. In the evening, as fairy lights wave between frames, the wall becomes something almost magical. A gallery where nature is both artist and subject. It whispers softly that creativity is not only found in what we make, but in how we choose to let life itself be part of the design. Observe, imitate, and modify. So metimes the tools of the kitchen find new life in the heart of the garden. A colander, once filled with pasta or rinsed berries, now dangles from a pergola beam, reborn as a lamp that scatters light like stars across the night. The old metal strainer, with its tiny perforations, becomes the storyteller. Inside, A warm Edison bulb glows, sending rays of light through each hole, casting specklet patterns across the table, the chairs, the vases gathered below. It is simple, yet enchanting, like sitting beneath a sky of fireflies. By day, the colander rests quietly, its rustic charm adding a quirky touch to the outdoor space. By night, it transforms. Dinner becomes more intimate, conversation slower, laughter softer, as the golden light shroudless everyone in a circle of warmth. It feels less like a day project and more like a piece of magic, woven from nothing more than metal, wire, and imagination. The joy of this idea lies in its balance between function and artistry. Anyone can create it, thread a light fixture through the colander's base, secure it with a chain, and let it hang where people gather. It costs little, but its effect is priceless. A reminder that beauty often lives in reimagination. And there is versatility too. Colanders can be painted pastel shades for a playful look, polished silver for elegance, or left rustic with their agate patina intact. Each choice changes the mood, making the lamp personal to its maker. As evening deepens and shadows grow long, the colander pendant light glows on, quietly holding space for stories, meals, and togetherness. It shows us that so many mess. The most ordinary objects are simply waiting for the chance to shine. Observe, imitate, and modify. So many mess furniture that no longer fits a room finds its soul in the garden. Picture an old dresser, once holding clothes and trinkets, now standing outdoors. Drawers not filled with fabric but with soil and blossoms spilling freely. The drawers, pulled out at varying length, become little terraces for nature. One bursts with lilac blooms, another overflows with trailing petunias, while the smallest shroudless soft white babies breathe. Together, they cascade downward like a waterfall of color, each tier adding depth and movement to the garden. The top, no longer a surface for mirrors or lamps, now proudly displays a vase of cut flowers or even a small lantern glowing at dusk. There is charm in its imperfection. The wood, weathered by years of use, carries stories in every scratch. A chord of paint, with her soft pastel or rustic distressed white, refreshes it just enough without erasing its history. It stands as both sculpture and planta, a whimsical reminder that beauty grows where you least expect it. Creating a cascading dresser planter is wonderfully simple. Line each drawer with a protective layer, fill with soil, and choose flowers that trail and bloom generously. Place it near a pathway, where passers-by can pause to admire the way blooms tumble like fabric folds, softening the dresser's straight lines into something alive and organic. And as the seasons change, so does the dresser. Spring brings bursts of color, summer hums with bees and butterflies, autumn may see herbs or chrysanthemums in its drawers. It adapts, just as we do, proving that even what seems out of place can still serve, still shine. In the garden, the dresser lives again, not as storage, but as a canvas where life spills joyously over every edge. Observe, imitate, and modify. So many stillness holds the most beauty. An ordinary tube, once a vessel for chores or storage, can become a sanctuary of water and life, transforming a corner of the garden into a cheerful oasis. In the heart of the garden, the tube rests surrounded by smooth river stones, its surface dark and reflective like a mirror of the sky. Water lilies spread their green paths across it, their blossoms, pink and white, opening gently to the sun. Beneath them, goldfish dart in flashes of orange, their movements bringing life to the calm water. Together, they create a scene that feels both simple and deeply serene, as though nature itself has found a place to pause. The magic of a water tube pond is that it requires no digging, no heavy construction, just imagination. With a container, a few plants, and a handful of fish if you wish, anyone can create this miniature world. Solar lights splashed nearby extend its charm into the night, casting a gentle glow that reflects across the water's surface, turning it into a lantern for the garden. What makes this idea timeless is the sense of balance it brings. The water chills the air on hot afternoons, the flowers soften the edges of metal or plastic, And the fish remind us that life thrives even in the smallest of places. It is both practical and poetic, a habitat that welcomes birds, insects, and anyone who pauses to watch its still surface. As you sit beside it, listening to the faint replay of water and the quiet hum of the garden, you realize that this little pond is more than the chore. It is a moment of calm, captured in a tube, reminding us that beauty need not be fast to be profound. Observe, imitate, and modify. So many mess what no longer holds people can still hold beauty. An old chair, forgotten in the corner of a home, may find new life outdoors, not as a seat but as a stage for blossoms. In the garden, the chair rests quietly on a patch of green grass. Its wooden frame, worn smooth by years of use, carries a new identity. The seat removed, replaced by a planter brimming with flowers. Daisies smile in white and yellow, marigolds glow like small suns, and trailing petunias spill downward in soft cascades. Across the backrest, a crown of blossoms is draped, a garland of roses and wildflowers that turns the chair into something almost regal. This display feels whimsical, as though the garden itself had decided to dress up in celebration. It catches the eye, but more than that, it sparks imagination. Visitors smile when they see it, surprised by the transformation, charmed by the thought that furniture once meant for sitting now childless life instead. Creating such a pitch is simple. A sturdy old chair, a touch of paint if desired, and a planter or soil where the seat once was. The flowers do the rest, bringing color and vitality with each season. Some may choose romantic roses, others cheerful sunflowers or herbs for fragrance and utility. The chair becomes more than the chore. It becomes a symbol of renewal. It shows us that nothing is too old to be useful, that beauty can spring even from what seems outdated. And in the evening light, when shadows stretch long and flowers glow softly against the fading sky, the chair stands as quiet proof that imagination can turn even the most ordinary objects into poetry. Observe, imitate, and modify. So metimes the plainest metal becomes a vessel for wonder. A simple tin can, once tossed aside after holding soap or beans, can be reborn as a lantern that turns darkness into dance. Along the garden path, these lanterns glow softly. Each tin is punctured with tiny holes, arranged in lace-like patterns, stars, flowers, spirals, that come alive only when lit from within. As candles flicker inside, beams of light escape through the perforations, scattering across the stones and grass in 1,000 delicate shapes. It feels as though starlight has stepped down from the sky to walk with you. The beauty of this project is its accessibility. Anyone can make it with a hammer, a nail, and a bit of patience. A tin can, cleaned and emptied, becomes a blank canvas. Punch holes gently, sketching with light rather than ink. Once done, a choice of pastel or metallic paint adds charm by day, while by night the lantern reveals its true personality. Warm, flickering, alive, placed along a path, they guide footsteps like a string of glowing pearls. Hung from branches, they sway gently, projecting moving patterns that shift with the breeze. Gathered on a table, they transform a simple evening meal into something enchanted, as if the very air is sprinkled with dancing stars. What they remind us is simple. Beauty need not be expensive or complex. It can emerge from what we overlook, from what we nearly discharge. With a bit of care, even a tin can become a storyteller, whispering light into the night and turning ordinary gardens into magical sanctuaries. And as you walk past, shadows flickering at your feet, you may find yourself smiling, because so metimes, the smallest sparks light the deepest joy. Observe, imitate, and modify. So metimes a threshold no longer leading anywhere still opens into beauty. An old door, once swung open for family, visitors, and years of stories, may stand quietly forgotten. Yet in the garden, it finds new life, blooming not as an entrance, but as a canvas for flowers. Painted in soft pastel shades, pink with a hint of white, or perhaps faded mint green, the door leans gently against a stone wall. Its panels, once plain wood, Now Chradle pots overflowing with blossoms. Petunias cascade in purple and pink waves. Diceus brighten the edges with cheerful white. And small Venus glimp, softening its frame. The glass panes, if unirmine, reflect the sky, making the display feel both nostalgic and fresh. The beauty of outdoor planter wall lies in its ability to transform an ordinary vertical surface into a layered garden. Each pot becomes a brushstroke, each bloom a splash of color. Over time, as the plants grow fuller, the door appears alive. As though it is not an object at all, but a living gateway into nature's imagination. Creating it requires little effort. Secure hooks or brackets onto the door. Hang planters, and let the flowers do the rest. Place it in a garden corner or against a fence where it can surprise visitors with its unexpected charm. Old tools leaned nearby or fairy lights strung above can enhance the rustic, whimsical mood. What was once just a door becomes a story of renewal. It remains as that even things that seem to have lost their purpose can still open into new beginnings. And as the blooms spill outward, the door whispers softly, beauty does not always need to lead somewhere, it simply needs to exist, right where it stands. Observe, imitate, and modify. So many clothes that on chariot our steps can carry blossoms instead. Old jeans, frayed at the seams and faded from years of use, need not be just as they. In the garden, they find new life, filled with soil, overflowing with flowers, and standing proudly as whimsical works of art. Imagine a pair of denim legs propped up by a fence, their pockets stuffed with herbs like rosemary and thyme, while marigolds burst joyfully from the waist. Petunias spill down through the legs, transforming fabric into a waterfall of color. It is playful and unexpected, something that makes visitors laugh softly when they stumble upon it, charmed by its quirky personality. The appeal of this idea lies not just in its humor, but in its creativity. Jeans are sturdy, designed to endure, which makes them perfect containers for soil and roads. A plastic liner or bag to get inside keeps moisture where it belongs, while the denim itself weathers gracefully outdoors. With time, the fabric fades and softens, adding to its rustic character. This day project invites imagination. Children delight in planting flowers into pens, watching them grow taller as though the jeans themselves were alive. For adults, it is a way to honor old clothing that once held memories of journeys, work, or play, transforming them into something new rather than letting them go. Placed along garden paths or steps, these denim planters bring a sense of joy. They prove that gardening is not only about elegance and order, but also about fun, surprise, and laughter. And perhaps, as the flowers bloom brighter each week, you will realize that even what no longer fits the body can still fit beautifully into the garden's story. Observe, imitate, and modify. So many tools of nurture become symbols of beauty. A watering can, once used daily to quench thirsty roads, can rest now in a wicker basket, not to pour, but to bloom. Picture a garden wall, its surface softened by ivy. Upon it hang heart-shaped wicker baskets, each one straddling a watering can painted in gentle pastels, mint green, blush pink, soft beige. Instead of water, soil feels terbilious, and from their open mouths spill flowers. Daisies lining in white clusters, lavender swaying in purple sprays, tiny petunias bursting with color. The sky feels like a living painting, rustic yet tender, as if the wall itself has grown a heart. The magic of this idea lies in its storytelling. Watering cans are symbols of care, of hands tending quietly to life. Now, in their second life, they carry flowers instead of water, still nurturing but in a way that is purely beautiful. The wicker baskets frame them perfectly, their natural textures blending with the softness of blooms, making this is simple and deeply rewarding. Hang baskets securely on a wall or fence, nestle the chants inside, and plant flowers that tumble outward with joy. Each arrangement becomes unique, a little vignette of color and charm. Group several together, and the wall transforms into a gallery of rustic hearts. By day, sunlight warms the metal and wicker, casting playful shadows. By evening, a string of fairy lights can wave through the baskets, making the watering chants glow softly, like lanterns filled with blossoms. This tradition reminds us that gardening is not only about plants, it is about meaning. It's about turning the tools of yesterday into the treasures of today, carrying forward the spirit of care in ways both heartfelt and beautiful. Observe, imitate, and modify. Sometimes elegant hides in the smallest of vessels. A porcelain teacup, once filled with steaming tea, can live again not in kitchens but in gardens, holding a different kind of warmth, the quiet strength of a succulent. On a sunlit table, a collection of teacups rests. Each is different, one with delicate roses painted around its edge, another with gold trim that glimmers softly, another chipped but still charming. Inside them, succulents grow in miniature perfection, their rosette leaves unfolding like tiny green flowers. Some are soft sage, others deep violet, some with tips kissed by pink. Together, they form a gallery of life both fragile and enduring. What makes this idea captivating is its intimacy. Unlike large planters, teacups invite you to lean closer, to notice the details of each leaf, each vein, each glint of sunlight on ceramic. They fit perfectly on shelves, window sills, or clustered together as a centerpiece for an outdoor tea table. In their smallness, they carry great charm, making one requires only care and imagination. Drill a small hole at the bottom for drainage or line the cup carefully with pebbles before adding soil. Succulents, with their resilience and minimal needs, thrive in such tiny homes. Over time, as roots settle, the teacup becomes more than a container. It becomes a frame for life. Each cup tells a story. Perhaps it once belonged to a grandmother, or was found at a flea market, or sat forgotten in the back of a cupboard. Now, it holds not just plants but memories, renewed and cherished. As the sun sets and golden light brushes across porcelain and petals alike, you realize that these little planters are more than decoration. They are poetry in miniature, a quiet reminder that beauty often thrives in the smallest, most unexpected places. Observe, imitate, and modify. Sometimes what we see is not the whole story. A frame without a picture and a mirror without a room can, in the garden, create an illusion that whispers of hidden paths and secret places. Against a brick wall, an ornate mirror rests, its frame worn with age, its glass reflecting not facades but flowers. Ivy climbs nearby, blurring where the real garden ends and the reflected one begins. For a moment, it feels as if the mirror opens to another world, a secret courtyard, a path you could step into if only you dared. Smaller frames scatter around it, empty yet alive, holding not paintings but glimpses of sky, leaves, and blossoms. They do not need art, because nature itself completes them. The magic of this idea is the way it expands space. In small gardens, a mirror doubles the green, making corners feel larger, deeper, more mysterious. In larger spaces, it adds enchantment, drawing the eye into illusions of doors and windows that don't exist. Visitors pause, smiling at the trickery, leaning into see themselves mingling with roses or vanishing into ivy. To create it is simple. Old mirrors from thrift shops, flea markets, or even forgotten attics can be painted, distressed, or left as they are. Frames can be arranged in clusters like a gallery, each one capturing a page of the garden as if it were a living canvas. Positioned carefully, mirrors catch sunlight and bunch it into darker corners, making the wall space brighter and more alive. At twilight, when shadows lengthen and reflections glow, the frames and mirrors transform the garden into something dreamlike, half real, half imagined. They remind us that beauty is not always in what is present, but also in the illusions we create, the stories we chose to see. Observe, imitate, and modify. Sometimes what once held wings can now hold light and blossoms. A birchage, once home to song, can find freedom itself when transformed into a lantern of flowers, glowing gently in the evening garden. Picture a vintage chage, painted soft white, suspended from a tree branch where sunlight filters through leaves. Inside, no bird whites, only petals, just shading in pinks and purples, filling every corner with life. Among the blooms, a candle or string of fairy lights rests quietly, waiting for dusk. As the sky darkens, the chage glows from within, turning into a lantern that seems enchanted, as if it has captured a page of twilight magic. The charm of this design lies in its poetry. A bir chage, once a symbol of confinement, becomes a vessel of freedom, freedom of creativity, freedom of light, freedom of nature spilling outward. Flowers trail through its bars, escaping gently, reminding us that beauty cannot be contained. Creating one is simple and endlessly personal. An old chage from a thrift shop, some fresh flowers or trailing plants, and a light source are all that's needed. For daytime charm, fill the chage with blooms and greenery, letting them tumble outward. For evening magic, nestle chandeliers or fairy lights inside, so the chage glows like a lantern among the leaves. Placed on a table, it becomes a centerpiece. Hung in a tray, it becomes a beacon. Leaned along a path, they become a procession of glowing guardians. Each variation feels unique, each one carrying its own story. As night settles and the lanterns shine softly across the garden, you may pause and smile. What once was empty now overflows with light and life, whispering gently that beauty always finds a way to escape, spilling outward, even through the narrowest bars. Observe, imitate, and modify. Sometimes the tools of the past can still carry water, but in a way that delicts the eyes and soothes the soul. A rusty watering can, once heavy in the hands of a gardener, can become a fountain that never tires, a stream that flows endlessly in your garden. Imagine the old metal can, its handle worn, its surface marked by years of use. Instead of being discarded, it now rests high on a wooden post or a hidden frame. From its spout, a gentle stream of water pours gracefully. As though the can still remembers its task but now performs it with quiet elegance. Below, a basin of stone or a wooden barrel touches the water, where lilies float and goldfish swim lazily. Around it, flowers bloom brighter for the gift of nearby moisture, and butterflies linger to sip from the edges. What makes this idea enchanting is its balance of nostalgia and renewal. The watering can remains true to its purpose, pouring water, but do so continuously, like a pumuritan in liquid lines. The sound of trickling becomes music in the garden, air hayateham that charms the mind and softens the air on warm afternoons. Creating this feature is more accessible than it seems. A small pump, hidden beneath stones or inside the basin, recycles the water, allowing the can to pour endlessly. It is sustainable, low maintenance, and infinitely adaptable. Add lights beneath the flow, and at night the fountain sparkles like liquid silver. This project is not just decoration, it is present. It invites you to pause, to listen, to breathe more slowly. The watering can, once a servant of chores, now becomes an artist, sketching pH into your garden with every drop.